Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Vrinda from Baltimore. I welcome you all for today's session. So we have completed the series of Science of Devotion yesterday from Canto 1. So Maharaj, do we have a new series from today or is there a new verse today?
Yeah, we're going to begin the 15th chapter of the first canto. We can start with verse number 1.
Okay, Maharaj, I will just share the screen.
Yeah. Okay, so this is, we'll take a few verses in this and then I have another section we might go to very soon, but this section is interesting. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Magyantamidandasya Ginajana Salakaya Chaksu Militamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sutta Uvacha Evam Krishna Saka Krishno Bhattara Rajaka Vikalpitaha Nana Sankaspadam Rupam Krishna Vislesha Karsitaha. Sutta Goswami said, Arjuna, the celebrated friend of Lord Krishna, was grief-stricken because of the strong feelings of separation from Krishna. Over and above all Maharaj Yudhisthira's speculative inquiries. Purport. Being too much aggrieved, Arjuna practically became choked up, and therefore it was not possible for him to reply properly to the various speculative inquiries of Maharaj Yudhisthira. So here we're entering into a discussion. Arjuna has just returned after the battle of Kurukshetra. Now he meets Maharaj Yudhisthira. And obviously what is happening here is that Krishna has already left the planet. Our Maharaj Yudhisthira is seeing the despondency in Arjuna. And so he's speculating, as it says here in the purport, he's speculating why Arjuna is feeling this bereavement. And so here we're getting introduced to this particular discussion. And it's interesting because both this, although it's so succinct, or you might say very concise, it's very powerfully packed, these two lines here. He was grief-stricken because of strong feelings of separation from Krishna. Over and above all Maharaj their speculative inquiries. So it's important to understand that what he's experiences is everyone is experiencing it. He is aware of it, and others might be slightly aware, and he's fully aware. and others may not be aware at all. But the living entity has an eternal loving relationship with Krishna. And that relationship can never be broken. That relationship is pure, it's continuous, and it is the essence of our existence and the goal of all happiness and all freedom. And what is that? That all the living entities in the material world, they're struggling. Why are they struggling? Because of this one thing, separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People think that they are struggling because of this problem, family problem, economic problem, social problem, political problem, an environmental problem. So many problems people are trying to solve, but they actually don't understand what is the real problem. Real problem is separation from Krishna. As Bhakti Siddhanta used to say, and he would say it many times, there's only one problem in the world, separation from Krishna, or a lack of Krishna consciousness. So we have an eternal loving relationship with Krishna, and we can never be satisfied in any situation, in any place within the universe, no matter how nice it may be. One can fall into the illusion that everything is nice, but the soul will always feel, and it will be reflected through the mind, something in life is not there, something is missing. And what is that missing? Our eternal relationship with Krishna. As soon as we solve that problem, we solve all problems. The whole world is going on trying to solve problems, but they don't know that this is the only problem. As soon as that solved problem comes to the forefront and one starts to understand, yes, as soon as I make my connection again with Krishna, as soon as I'm back with Krishna, then I'm happy, I'm satisfied. All of my desires are fulfilled. There's nothing else to achieve. I've achieved everything in one place. Sometimes they say, if you want to go shopping and you have so many different items to buy, you can go to this store and then drive to this store, and then you can get out of your car and drive to the next store. And you may or may not get what you need. But if you go to the shopping mall, where all the stores are in one place, then you have to just go to one place and you can fulfill your whole shopping list. Similarly, as soon as we become Krishna conscious or connect ourselves again with Krishna in a real way, solid devotional service, as we were hearing from the previous verses that we discussed, what is that solid devotional service? Then everything is perfect. Then the goal of life is achieved, and the perfection of all desires is also complete. So we're getting a little insight here of what is the real problem of life: separation from Krishna. Arjuna is feeling that separation. Krishna has just left the planet. He has wound up his pastimes in the material world, and he has accomplished all of the requests that the demigods had asked him to do by coming to the material world, killing so many demons, placing Maharaj Yudhisthira on the throne as the king of the world, and establishing the Pandavas as the saintly rule. Krishna did everything, and then along with his armies, which were the Yadu dynasty, they conquered all directions. And now Krishna takes the Yadu dynasty back with him, and he goes back to the spiritual world. The Yadu dynasty goes to different places according to their individual positions. So now Arjuna's feeling that, and Arjuna's Arjuna is very much like Krishna. It says that he has similar bodily features as Krishna. So that's why sometimes another name for Arjuna is Krishna. Sometimes he's called Krishna because he is so much connected to Krishna and so much similar in bodily features. Here, the synonyms give a little insight on how dear Arjuna is to Krishna. He's the celebrated friend of Krishna. He's in the mood of friendship with Krishna. He's constantly talking to Krishna. He eats with Krishna. They share the same bed together sometimes when they sleep at night. So what intimacy that Arjuna had with Krishna and how deep that intimacy developed. Now Krishna's gone. Now, sometimes we reflect in our own life when someone is so dear to us and then they're no longer, they either left the body or the relationship has gone bad for some reason. And we experience that grief because of that relationship. But when it comes to Krishna, because Krishna is the root of all of our existence, and he is the source of everything that we look for in life in perfection. This is Krishna. There's nothing, when you find Krishna, you find everything. And if you try to find everything without Krishna, you will still continue looking because you will never be satisfied. Okay, go on to the next verse. Sukhena Susya Vadanam Ritsarojo Ata Prabhaham Vibhutam Evanushmaran Nasaknot Pratibhasitum. Due to grief, Arjuna's mouth and lotus-like heart had dried up. Therefore, his body lost all luster. Now, remembering the Supreme Lord, he could hardly utter a word in reply. Because Arjuna, Yudhisthira is asking him questions, and now he's experiencing the symptoms of his grief-stricken mind. Krishna samstapya suchang praninam ritsya trayaho paroksena samudnadya pranayok kantya kartaraham. With great difficulty, he checked the tears of grief that smeared his eyes. He was very distressed because Lord Krishna was out of his sight, and he increasingly felt affection for him. So here's a symptom of love and separation. When love is there in the meeting, there is happiness, there's joyfulness, there is activity. But here, when that meeting is broken and the person is gone, then the intensity of that love that was there during the meeting becomes even more so. But that feeling is like a mixed feeling of happiness and distress. The happiness is that one is remembering their loved one, and the distress is that Krishna is now gone, and therefore one doesn't see any meaning to anything anymore. Raghunath Das Goswami, when he is, he's feeling the same separation that Arjuna has. And he is expressing that separation for Lord Chaitanya. And in that mood of separation, he's looking at everything that was so wonderful to him in his Govardhan Hill and Vrindavan forest, everything that was connected with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in such a beautiful and wonderful way. Now it looks just like a dreary void. There's no satisfaction, there's nothing. So here we see what is the nature of love. When love is gone or love is apparently separated, then that love turns into a kind of anxiety. Although the love is still there, the anxiety is mixed in, and that anxiety, or we might say grief, uh, affection, is increasing more and more and more. That's why it's understood that love in separation is much more deeper and much more intense in its experience upon the individual than when one meets. You see, and sometimes we see in an ordinary way, I see it all the time when I come into airports. There's people waiting for their family members, friends, and loved ones. And as soon as they see them, oh, everyone becomes so happy and they're like smiling and they're embracing and so many other things. And it's like, wow, the whole world has become, Vaikuntha when they meet their friends or their loved ones again. But then after some time, they go on with their activities together and it's not like that anymore. So you see what separation does. It increases that love. Sakyam matrim saridam cha sarasadishya samsmaram nipam agrajam ityaha Vaspagaga daya gira. Remembering Lord Krishna and his well-wishers, benefactions, intimate familiar relations, and his chariot driving, Arjuna, overwhelmed and breathing very heavily, began to speak. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Supreme Being is perfect in all relations with his devotee. Arjuna is one of the typical pure devotees of the Lord, reciprocating in fraternal relationship. And the Lord's dealing with Arjuna are displays of friendship of the highest perfect order. He was not only a well-wisher of Arjuna, but actually a benefactor. And to make it still more perfect, the Lord tied him into a family relationship by arranging Subhadra's marriage with him. Subhadra was Krishna's younger sister. And above all, the Lord agreed to become a chariot driver of Arjuna in order to protect his friend from the warfare risks. And the Lord became actually happy when he established the Pandavas to rule over the world. Arjuna is remembering all of these one after another, and thus he becomes overwhelmed with such thoughts. So as we reflect on the experiences we have with those we love and they're no longer there, the experiences intensifies that separation mood even more so. And sometimes a person thinks, how can I go on? But we should understand, how are we able to go on in this material world without Krishna? How is it possible? Well, for those who have developed love for Krishna, it's not possible. But for those who are covered by the material energy and can no longer remember their relationship with Krishna, they somehow or other try to fill that void of loving relationship with Krishna, although they do it unconsciously, by doing so many other things, and to somehow find that. But this is what's missing in everyone's life. That's why we say no one can be happy unless one is Krishna conscious. Why? Because material relationships have some satisfaction to a small degree, but after some time, they lose that. In other words, if you know you're going to lose something that you have and that you like, you might even be dear to you, how can you somehow or other go on being happy with the idea that you have these things? When you look at it, or you look at that person, you think soon the time will come, we will no longer be together. Soon I will no longer be connected to what I have. So an intelligent person will see the ephemeral nature, all of everything in this material world, including the relationships that we establish based on bodily needs and bodily desires. And they will think, what is the use? If I develop my relationship with Krishna, then there's nothing else to achieve. Here we're learning how the intimacy of these two personalities was so deep that actually Krishna had arranged for Arjuna. And it was an interesting arrangement how Subhadra was by Balaram. Balaram had promised Subhadra to Duryodhana, but Subhadra didn't want to get married to Duryodhana, and Krishna didn't want Subhadra to get married to Duryodhana. So it was arranged that Arjuna would marry Subhadra, but there was a conflict between the two brothers. One wanted Duryodhana, the other one wanted Arjuna. So what Krishna did is that he had Arjuna dressed up as a sannyasi, and he came to visit Subhadra. And during that visit, he kidnapped her and took her away and married her. And this was all Krishna's arrangement. When Balaram found out about it, he became very angry. He was going to chastise Arjuna, but Krishna somehow had stopped him and tried to explain that this was Subhadra's preference to marry Arjuna. So what Krishna went through just to satisfy both his sister and Arjuna. He is the best friend of everyone. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sings and he prays, everything you're looking for is in Krishna. Everything you are is due to Krishna's mercy. Everything you have belongs to Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dana Prabhu. So we can describe all of these things, but unless we actually connect with Krishna in loving devotional service and start to feel that separation due to the fact that we are here in this material world, then we won't be able to understand this nature of love. But it's available because each soul has that particular nature to love Krishna perfectly and unlimitedly. And as one becomes more advanced in Krishna consciousness, the mood of separation from Krishna intensifies itself. And one thinks, boy, I just would like to die and go back home and be with Krishna. Of course, that's a very nice sentiment, and it's in line with devotional service, but that's not how it works, in the sense that Krishna wants the devotee to stay in the material world as long as they can, develop a relationship with him, and then go back home, back to Godhead. Or he wants the devotee to stay in the material world to preach Krishna consciousness, and Krishna will guarantee to take that person back at the time he leaves the body. So for a devotee, there's no loss, but it appears to be difficult.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yeah. Okay, we can stop here and take questions.
Okay, sure, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for all these verses and explaining about them. Um, it's like a realization for me to know that how love is deeper in the separation. Thank you so much for explaining about that. I request devotees, if there are any questions, comments, realizations, any reflections, please go ahead. You can either put your question in the chat or you can raise your hand. Also, it would be nice if you all can turn on your videos. So Maharaj, while the devotees are thinking about the questions or reflections, I have one question. So when you were explaining that how love is more deeper in separation, so I was thinking, should we always just long for separation and not a reunion with Krishna? Should we just always long for separation because love is deeper in separation?
We are separated from Krishna, and so if we develop our love within the particular context of our devotional service, we are actually serving Krishna in separation. And as that service develops, the mood of love also increases. So that is the mood. Meeting Krishna is something that will come in due course of time. But right now, Lord Chaitanya also, he taught that to love Krishna means to love Krishna in the mood of separation. And this is called Purvaras. Purvaras means loving Krishna before meeting Krishna. So you might think, well, how is that possible? Because I already met Krishna in the spiritual world, but because we have completely forgot about our relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world, we're not able to recollect that in our conditioned state. We are apparently building a relationship with Krishna that seems like it's something new, but it's not. It's just apparently new because we have forgotten what was there when we were in the spiritual world with Krishna. So building it new is like in that mood of separation from Krishna. And so that mood of separation is enhanced by hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's name, offering prayers to Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj, for making it more clear. Are there any more questions from devotees?
Anyone else?
Sudha Mataji has raised hand. Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Guru Maharaj, I have a question about, you mentioned like love for material family. When we have that, we will not remember Krishna. Only one who's Krishna conscious, they can remember, like, Krishna. So I'm just trying to understand, like, when we love Krishna, we love everyone, right? So we have love for everyone. So how should we understand the difference between that love, like material love, and the spiritual love? Like,
well, that material, both have the service mood as the foundation to it. We develop our love for Krishna through serving Krishna and talking about Krishna, purify the heart. As the heart becomes purified, the natural love awakens. In the same way, in the material world, where there is some affection to people on this level, what do? You do something to make them happy or please them. So the same principle is there, service. But the service on this level is not the same as service to Krishna, because service to Krishna is eternal. The service on this level may be appreciated or not appreciated, may be accepted or not accepted. It may be not in line with what the person needs or desires. So in the material world, everything is fraught with mistakes, and it's all temporary. Everything in this world is temporary, and there's so many mistakes in the middle. Everyone's trying to make it better, but no one's getting at making it any better. They just keep struggling, that's all. So material relationships, they're problematic, because generally you can't satisfy another person, although you might try to. Even if Prabhupada talks about that, the man who gives his life to the family, and then at the end of life, he wants to retire, and the wife is still yelling at him, you haven't done this yet, you haven't done that yet. What have you done your whole life? So no one appreciates so much in this material world. Or if there's some little appreciation, buried in all of the other relationships that we had that didn't turn out so good. This is the material world. You have to understand what this material world is. It's a place where you struggle to be happy, but it's not possible because there's no happiness there. We can get some temporary satisfaction, but both the satisfaction and the activity that produces it, or the situation that it develops, is all temporary.
It's good, yeah. Very true. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we do love Krishna, then we can love all because we see everyone in relationship with Krishna. That's natural. When you water the root of the tree, all the branches, the twigs, the flowers, the leaves, everything connected to the root gets the watering process. As our love for Krishna developed, because Krishna is the root of all of existence, he's connected to everything and everyone. Then that expression of our love for Krishna spreads out to his parts and parcels, to his energies also. When we see a bug who is suffering or something, we also feel unhappy because that's Krishna part and parcel who's struggling. Well, that's explained. Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gabri Hastani Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshanaha. The one who actually sees, he sees the soul, he doesn't see the body. And that same soul is in the hearts of all living beings. And Krishna is the foundation by which everything comes about, everything is maintained, and everything develops. Mm-hmm. But we don't love so much Krishna in his feature as the intricacies of the material energy and how it works. We love Krishna because he's Krishna. The residents of Vrindavan have love for Krishna. Why? Because he's so beautiful and he plays his flute so nicely. When he smiles, everyone becomes happy. Everything about Krishna's qualities is so attractive that they can't stop thinking of Krishna. They can't stop wanting to be with Krishna. When you meet a person like that, sometimes we have that experience. We meet a person that is so wonderful. We just want to be with them all the time. And when we're not with them, we feel, like, oh, we feel unhappy. But with Krishna, that's the perfection is there. We also get to have that same feeling towards the pure devotee of the Lord. When we develop a relationship with the pure devotee, in that separation from the pure devotee, it's similar and very much alike to the separation we feel from Krishna. Because the pure devotee is simply representing Krishna in everything they do. So that can also be there to the devotees. Even on a day-to-day level, we develop relationships with devotees. And we sometimes develop very close relationships with devotees. And we share their happiness, we share their struggles, we share their sadnesses, we share their defeats. It's like two people become one. Narottam Das Thakur, he had such an intimate relation with Ramachandra Kaviraj that it said they were like two souls in one body. So yeah, even amongst devotees, these relationships are very deep.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. It's a very deeper experience.
With Krishna, it's the perfect. It's with Krishna, it's the perfection. It's the ultimate.
Yes, thank you, Guru Maharaj. It's a very deeper experience you have shared us today. So as we progress spiritually, we can experience that deeper relationships. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, for that beautiful explanation. So devotees, are there any more questions, comments, any reflections? So Maharaj, I have one question. If you allow me, I can ask.
Mm-hmm.
So there are symptoms given for the separation Arjuna is feeling from Krishna, like various symptoms are given in the one of the verses. So are there different degrees of separation? Because I think there is a difference between the separation of Arjuna and the separation of gopis, and so are there different degrees of separation from Krishna?
Yeah. Yeah, those different degrees of separation manifested by different types of ecstasies that one is experiencing in that separation. Here we're getting a little indication of Arjuna, what he's going through. He's got tears, his mouth is dry, he can't respond to the Yudhishthira's inquiries. But Radharani, when Radharani is feeling separation from Krishna, when she reaches intense forms of separation, when the gopis were so much separated from Krishna when Krishna was gone from Vrindavan, they all died, all the gopis. Radharani walked into the Ganga River, onto the Jamuna, and all the gopis followed. But they reappeared as the queens in Dwarka to associate with Krishna in that mood of Aishwarya. And they took on different personalities. Radharani became Satyabhama, and Candramauli became Rukmini, and some of the principal queens were some of the principal gopis also. So yeah, that intensive separation actually brings one to the point of there's no use, no longer any use to live. Life has no meaning anymore.
So the separation of gopis was the highest form of separation.
Higher. Yeah, because the intensity of love is even greater. As you go through the different rasas, from the Dashya ras, Sakya ras, to Vatsaya ras, to Madhurya ras, each one of those rasas or relationships, there's an intensity of love that is increasing, and it reaches its highest in Madhurya. But even with Madhurya, there is an intensity of that love, and it reaches its perfection and highest in Srimati Radharani. Yeah, her love for Krishna is not, no one can even, anybody tries to explain it, they'll look like a fool. Can't explain it, it's not possible. We can read about it, we can repeat what we read, but we can't really understand it.
So Maharaj, thank you. Thank you for explaining.
We use material examples to get a little indication. You'll see sometimes when two people live their life together, and then they're getting on in years, and they get into the old years. One of them dies, and the other one just gradually dies after. The other one can't carry on anymore. It happens all the time. I see it. And so that when that element is applied to Krishna, it's perfect.
So whatever separation we are feeling in the material world, we have to channelize to the separation of Krishna, right, Maharaj?
Yeah, the material world is the separation doesn't really last in this world, because people fill that need, and therefore, although they experience separation initially, if it goes on for too long, in most cases, they just look for something to fill that need. With Krishna, there's no need to fill. You can't fulfill that need. The only fulfillment of that need is Krishna. There's no substitute.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj.
So we do that all the time. We're trying to fulfill that need of our separation from Krishna by developing relationships in this world, or by doing things in this world to somehow forget about that separation. We cover it over with something material, but that doesn't last either. But that's just the way we do it. We just cover it over. Sometimes people just start eating a lot in their anxiety. Other people take the drugs. Others take the alcohol. Others take to some kind of other addiction that just relegates them to something that kind of hides their real feelings. It's like sometimes when we feel miserable, what do we want to do? Let's go to sleep. Forget about the misery. But it doesn't solve the problem.
Right.
There's no substitute for Krishna.
True.
Unless it's another incarnation that you have developed. That's another thing. Because all incarnations are just expansions of Krishna anyway. But that's another thing.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. So, devotees, are there any more questions, comments? Radha Vinodini Mataji has raised hand. Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to you. I'm sorry I was late today. I can just reflect to what you said lately. But what you mentioned that sometimes we are looking for substitutes instead of Krishna. What can we do when we just experience the symptoms, but we are not really conscious about this? Because, for example, many people who eat a lot or sleep a lot doesn't really know why they do it.
Yeah. Anxiety, loneliness, frustration, all of these things are symptoms of being separated from Krishna. So that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the soul comes back to Krishna, all problems are gone, all desires are fulfilled perfectly and eternally.
Mm-hmm. So we don't have to look really for... Sorry.
Yeah, Prabhupada used to say, everyone is looking for happiness, everyone is looking for Krishna. They just don't know it. The people don't know it. And even if they know it, they can't accept it. Because they're in ignorance about their identity. That's why we say we just try to distribute the mercy of the Lord. And people take it. And then if they can get somehow connected to the process of devotional service, they can develop some relationship with Krishna.
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering that a few days ago there was a class in New Vrajatam from Chiti Shakti Mataji, and mostly about these mental disorders. And while she spoke, I was really thinking how much we should look in these kind of situations like anxiety and stuff, how much we should try to look for material type of arrangements. So, because she had an interesting point that when someone has a disease, sometimes it's good to give two type of medicine. One is the cure, and the second is some kind of painkiller. and like this, the painkiller type is the material type of solution, and the real cure is the spiritual solution. So I was wondering how much we should endeavor for any type of material arrangement.
Forget it.
Okay.
Why waste your time doing that? You arrange one thing and it rearranges itself anyway. Or you're looking for some kind of false shelter to numb the pain. Is that it?
No, I'm just how to say. For example, like
nothing works. The pain will remain hidden but it's still there.
Mhm.
Then when everything is at the end of your life, when there's nowhere else to go, it's only Krishna's left. There's nothing. You can't hide it anymore. Everyone's trying to hide while they're still healthy and active. When you get to that point where there's nothing left, and if the dying man calls out to his family, please save me, they can't do anything.
Yeah, it's really interesting that what you said, that in the end all we will have is just Krishna, just I mean, he's everything. Yeah. It would be so nice to be able to realize this, but I'm really far from this. But I understand the principle.
Spend time hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and that'll become more. And when you do it in association with devotees, it becomes nice.
And just
then we can actually be with Krishna while we're here by hearing and chanting. And then once we develop that hearing and chanting, and then we're fulfilling that need. We're talking about those who are not Krishna conscious, who are trying to fulfill the need in some other way. Devotees are not like that. Devotees are not trying to hide that desire. They're trying to enhance it, that's all.
But in case of devotees, for example,
happy devotees are happy because they're with Krishna. Even now. They remember Krishna, they serve Krishna, they chant Krishna's name, they talk about Krishna, they eat Krishna's prasadam, they're with Krishna. And as it develops, then the personality of Godhead becomes more and more revealed in the life of the devotee. That's Krishna conscious. Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema, Saruka Bunoi, Sravanadi Siddhi Chitte, Koriye Udoy. In the hearts of all living entities, pure love for the Supreme Lord exists eternally. It's there. And that's what we're looking for. We think we're looking for other things. That's what we want.
I try to do. I try to realize that.
Well, it's a process. You just continue going. That's all. And as you make progress, you'll start to experience. As you get closer to the fire, you get warmer.
Yeah, it's really true. But I was just thinking that many times when I go to the temple and devotees ask each other, "Oh, how are you?" And many times we don't really see that someone feels good, but it's probably because we are still not in real relationship with Krishna on our level.
Everybody is to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more, some are less. But we can say if someone said to you, well, here's $1 million, give up your practice of Krishna consciousness. So would you do it? No. And that means you develop a relationship with Krishna to that point where no material thing can change your mind.
Yeah. I hope I just will have determination and patience, because really sometimes patience is not an easy thing. Because I understand that in a sense the process seems to be slow. In another sense, considering how many lifetimes we have behind us, it's really fast. Well,
the process is fast or slow depending on your desire. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
It's generally a gradual process. We don't say slow process, we say gradual. But it can be very fast also in a gradual way.
That's really interesting.
Depends on your desire. How much you want Krishna.
Yes, it's good to think about that. Yes, thank you very much. It was really helpful.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for your questions. Are there any last-minute questions for Maharaj? Vrindavan Nath Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
You're back.
I was listening, Guru Maharaj, your classes every day evening, but the YouTube, luckily this technology helps. I was not able to join because of office. So, Guru Maharaj, like, as you very like one or two key takeaway from this today's session was, one, as you rightly said, we all are looking for happiness, and Krishna is the ultimate source of happiness. We are really trying to find happiness in material things. And I feel like whenever I see Krishna, or whenever like see Krishna devotee, I think that desire should be, when you gave that example, when in the airport we are looking for or seeing our family members, we feel that, like as you said, like people are meeting in a way that they are meeting in Vaikuntha. And I feel like that kind of ecstasy should be there. Maybe that our devotion, like what to be done, Guru Maharaj, that when we see Guru, like deity or any devotee of Lord, we get that kind of feeling that yes, this is the last moment, like where we are meeting these devotees or deities.
Yeah, there's some devotees who, devotees have that experience. They see the deities and they start crying.
That happens, Guru Maharaj, sometimes, but like when we see our family members, we feel like, every time after a few years, like that ecstasy. But
yeah, but that's temporary.
True.
Because in this life we have these family members. In a previous life we had a different group. So love on this level, or feelings of affection on this level, are always subject to situations and consciousness also. But even the best, I mean, just like you see in the arts. So the epitome of loving relationship in the material world is Romeo and Juliet, right? It's a Shakespearean drama. So how did it end? They committed suicide. So, and it ends. It's just like it ends. So if you give your love to Krishna, it doesn't mean your love is not for other people also. But Krishna is the source, and therefore, when you have that love for Krishna, you automatically you always have feelings of well-wishing. You're the well-wisher of everyone. You want everyone to be happy. You want everyone to be Krishna conscious. You want everyone to be free from suffering, even the demons.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Even when you see the bugs, you think, well, if I could make that bug Krishna conscious, that would be nice. So you give him a little piece of, you give him a little petal of a flower so he can walk on it. You stick a little crumb next to him so he walks into that crumb, which is Mahaprasadam. So you're thinking how to help all living entities.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, that's true. On a lighter note, Guru Maharaj, Krishna consciousness creates sometimes challenges, like small things. When on the flower there is a fly, now in the family there is a fight that you take it because you take it. Earlier it was, okay, fine, I will take it, and maybe if killed, then no problem. Now nobody wants to get that fly hurt, and then there is a fight. So yes, that's true. Like consciousness changes, and we don't want to really hurt any living entity.
Yeah, when the monkeys come around, we chase them away. But that doesn't mean we hate the monkeys. A monkey is a monkey. That's all. But he's also a spirit soul. So if we can give him something to eat, then that's good. Prashad. That's why it says that grihastas every day should feed other living entities Krishna Prashadam, aside from their family members. To show, to show compassion to other living entities. Because when you get into household life, you get into a narrow consciousness. And here's my world. And everything centers around that. So therefore, in order to help expand that consciousness, one should associate with devotees regularly in programs. One should give in charity. One should distribute prasadam. One should open one's home to guests, especially traveling preachers. All of these help us to break that narrow consciousness that comes with household life.
Very true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, we have covered a little more than 1 hour, and I don't see any more questions. So, with your permission, should we end the call here?
With your permission, we can end the call.
Oh, no, Maharaj, I need your permission because I want you to take some rest. You seem to be a little tired today. So, we can
You're very perceptive. I was trying to hide it, but you are so perceptive.
Thank you so much for today's time, for giving us your time and association today, despite your busy schedule. Thank you so much. Thank you all the devotees for your time and association and joining today. Maharaj, should I announce about the retreat?
Make it, when you announce, just tell everybody that they should register within a couple of days because the registration is about to close.
Okay.
If anybody still wants to come, yeah. It's
Sure.
getting to the point of we're practically filled up,
Everyone wants to take benefit of this retreat and take your association, Maharaj. So yes,
we would love Brenda to come. bring Vanamali Pandit and Gokul Priya with you. We'll give you a special treatment if you come. Hardly anyone's coming from America. We have Sudha and her family, which is 4. And then we have Nitai Nataraj and Chandra. That's only 4 people from America. The Americans they're attached to America, I think. Can't get them out.
Yes, Maharaj. So, yeah, I will definitely try my best, Maharaj. Actually, there are so many other things that are involved if I have to travel to UK. So that's why it's a little difficult.
It's not difficult. Just buy a ticket and come. That's all. All the difficulties will go away as soon as you do that.
Sure, Maharaj. Definitely, I will try.
We would love to have you. We'd love to have everyone. And there's many, besides the main events of the speakers, there's a lot of other smaller events going on. And it's also part of the program, which is also very nice.
Maharaj. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll leave and then you can close the program accordingly.
Sure, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada.
Okay. Thank you.
So